Welcome back to another edition of Hafeman Brothers Talking Packers. It's not only another edition, it is edition number 13, the lucky number 13. Brother Ben, welcome to number 13.
That's right, number 13, in honor of Alan Lazard, number 13.
What a monster.
The breakout star.
Monster Alan Lazard. We love him. Love him so much that we didn't start him in fantasy this week. Hey, give me a round of applause. And guess what? Had I started him, I would have won. But I didn't start him, so I lost. And now I am out of it. Out of it. No chance, Ben. We are both officially no chance with 1 week to go.
It's not surprising.
Dang. I really thought. I thought I had the team this year.
I thought I did too.
Oh, man.
I don't want to get into that. We're talking Packers. We're not talking fantasy football. I'm done with fantasy football. All right. Another year of wasted money. Nothing new.
This is year 20 of Hafeman Fantasy Football, HFF. Year 20. Year 1 of Hafeman Brothers Talking Packers, though, here for you. So we've got some big news, Ben. A couple of big things before we get into it. All right. Number one is we have a new subscriber. New subscriber, Matt Hullida. Big shout out to Matt Hullida, new subscriber. Thank you, Mr. Hullida. Appreciate that. And do you know how you officially arrive, Ben, doing this stuff?
No.
You don't? I'm going to tell you. We officially have arrived because our last episode, we got our first thumbs down.
I saw that.
Did you see that?
Yeah, Geronimo Allison must have been listening to that episode.
It's either Geronimo or somebody that really likes him because we got our first official thumbs down. I went back and looked through all the episodes, and we don't have any other thumbs down until last week. And that's how you know you've arrived.
I wish that the thumbs down person would leave a comment and let us know why it was thumbs down.
I know. That would be nice. Not that we can change because we're just being honest. Look, the one cool thing is this. We are guaranteeing you this. These other crazy shows with Skip Bayless and some of these other people and whatever, they say crazy stuff to stir the pot, to get people all charged up. So purposely they're doing that. We're not doing that to get the thumbs down. We get the thumbs down because somebody didn't like something about our last episode. But I was, to be honest, I thought that was one of our best episodes. To me, I listened to it, and I liked it as probably one of our best to date. So, I don't know, but that's fine. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, and in this world of social media and all this jazz, and I understand you put stuff out there, some people aren't going to like it, and you can't please everybody, and that's fine. We're not trying to please everybody. We're just trying to give our takes and our perspective on the Packers, on what we see they can do better, what our hopes for them are, and the things that we see in games, how we're analyzing it. So anyway, officially, we are there. We got our first thumbs down, so there you go.
I agree. I think that was our best episode, too.
Okay, nice. Nick did say we agree too much. I talked to Superfan this week. Superfan, give him a shout out. And I have the fart gun handy. We started the Superfan last week with Eric Dahl, and I forgot to give him the fart gun, but I figured the fart gun salute is what we're going to give to our Superfan each week. So one Superfan each week and one fart gun, and we're going to do it right now because we need two because we didn't give Eric a fart gun last week. Okay, now we'll move on.
Is that the Despicable Me fart gun?
Yes. It's the greatest toy, the greatest toy of all time.
Well, it never stops giving.
And the best part about this particular fart gun is it's not a toy for my kids. I bought this for myself as a Father's Day gift a number of years ago. And yes, my kids used it, but I think I've used it more. So that tells you a little bit about me. So moving on to the Packers, Ben.
Yikes. Potty humor is running rampant in this particular episode of Hafeman Brothers Talking Packers.
And I just got done reading to my son before bedtime Captain Underpants story as well. So if you enjoy those, I do. So there you go. Tells you more about me. Probably more than you want to know. So we'll get to the Packer part. However, before we get to the Packer part, I do have to explain this because I thought about this as before too, because we talked about Viking Mo last week, and Viking Mo has agreed to join us for our show leading up to the huge Packers-Vikings matchup in Week 16. So that's a big thing. Viking Mo will be featured, and he'll give us his Viking analysis. And this is going to be a reuniting of sorts from all former high school football and basketball announcers for Clear Channel back in the day in Eau Claire. Because you were on there with me, you were one of my color people, and Viking Mo was one of my color people. So this is going to be kind of fun. So technically, it will be all three former professional broadcasters on that show, converging on that show. So that's pretty exciting.
There's actually one time where Viking Mo and I did a football game together.
What?
Where he was doing play-by-play, and I did color. That was one where you couldn't make it to.
Really?
Yeah. That was one of the most interesting games, I think, of all time.
Wow. I've never heard that one. Is there a record of I want to hear that? That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't even realize that. Wow. Here's how I had a point off of that. I knew I had a point somewhere. The point being, not just that we were going to be reuniting for that episode, but also that we were former broadcasters, technically professionals because we all got paid. And the thing I realized, and that you must know, is that in doing anything like this and doing anything like that, where you're on the radio or talking for an hour or more at a time, is that you have to be yourself. Like, there is no doing that and you putting on some persona or fakeness or whatever. And that's one thing as when I was on the radio, people, sometimes people use different names for themselves, things like that or whatever to cover their regular identity. And I could never do that because I figured if I was on that long, at some point I'm going to say my actual name. It wasn't an ego thing. But that was the reason why. And you can't ever do this stuff without actually being true to who you are and yourself, because you'll get tripped up or caught if you try to do that. Not that I try to do that anyway, but that's the point. So Ben and I, this is what we would normally talk about anyway. We're just doing it for the show, for you, and hopefully you like it. Or if you disagree with it, give us a comment so we know what you disagree with. We can either take that point into account, or we can dispute or debate about that point that you make that's contrary to our point. And if you like it, keep the likes coming, keep the thumbs up coming, keep the positive comments coming. We appreciate all of it. So, interaction, Superfan this week, Nick McFarlane, our good old buddy, former roommate for both of us back in Eau Claire. Nick McFarlane, Superfan, who told me he's listened to every second of our shows so far. All 12 shows he's listened to in their entirety. That's dedication.
Well, he does have a long commute to his job, so he could be listening to it on the road. If he's smart, then he can kill two birds with one stone kind of thing. That's a genius move if he's doing it that way.
He has always been a guy you can count on, though, too,
Oh, yeah. He's just a good guy.
He's a man of few words sometimes. He's a man of a few words.
Usually a man of one word. He's the one word set. You ask him a question, and it's like, yep, nope, ooba dooba. Those are like the three things he knows. Yep, nope, and ooba dooba.
But he's a man of, as we learned recently, a man of many saved pictures, many saved embarrassing photos that he somehow kept from the college days. Which is like, I couldn't even believe he had some of those photos still. That was surprising.
It was. I haven't laughed that hard in a long time. It was actually pretty nice.
He's got some dirt on some people. I mean, he's not just us either. He's got some incriminating photos. Well, of course, of himself as well. Quite a few of them in there. His son was shocked to see some of the stuff he did in college.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, let's get to the Packers here, Ben. What do you got for me off the top? What was your takeaway from this win? It was obviously a big win against the Giants. Some people wanted it to be a more convincing win, but it was a win and a solid team win, I think, across the board.
I think the elements definitely played into the game. Like I just mentioned earlier about, my fantasy football team where Aaron Jones really didn't get going at all. But it wasn't really an Aaron Jones type game. He's more of a cut guy. This was more of a Jamal Williams type game, if that could have happened. But the running game really wasn't there. The Giants were like, we're not letting you run the ball, which then led to some huge, huge plays. Like one of the points I wanted to bring up was play action and max protection plays.
Mm-hmm.
These were things we talked about last week about how to fix your offensive line issues as far as protecting Aaron Rodgers and, stopping the pass rush from getting there. The 3 big plays to Lazard, all 3 of them were either off play action or max protection. Let's face it, without Allen Lazard in that first half, Packers aren't scoring any points. I mean, he's the guy who pretty much made every big play. The first big pass to Lazard was a run fake play action to Jones. And Vitale, instead, a lot of times when they do those play action plays, the fullback and the running back will go straight through, make it look like it's a run the whole way. And on this particular play, Vitale went up like it was going to be a run. And then when he got to the line of scrimmage, immediately stopped and helped block. That was what led to that big 40-yarder. So you're talking, there was 6 guys protecting, and it was off of play action. So it was a very, very good, well-designed play that got Allen Lazard open deep for 40-some yards. The touchdown play was also off of play action. Now, it was not quite the same because there wasn't a max protect on that play, and there's also only 4 rushers on that play. But that also led to the touchdown, 30-some yard touchdown to Lazard, where he was wide open, and because the Giants just bid on the play action because they were hell-bent on stopping the run. And then the third catch that Lazard had, when you watch the protection on this play, this is not a play action. This is just straight up pass play. When you watch the protection, it is beautiful. Jimmy Graham is lined up next to Bulaga. Bulaga takes a step back. Jimmy Graham actually takes the defensive end, blocks him for a while first. Billy Turner blocks the defensive tackle in front of him. And Bulaga is there. He kind of just hangs out, and he's like waiting to see who kind of gets beat first. And it's actually Jimmy Graham who kind of lets his guy go, and then Bulaga takes him up. And then he helps out with Billy Turner. Billy Turner's guy, they do a stunt, and then Jimmy Graham actually helps out on Billy Turner's guy. So those 3 guys work beautiful together to give Rodgers plenty of time. And then on the other side, Bakhtiari, Jenkins, and Lindsley take on the other 2 guys. Those 6 guys, 3 on each side, work together to block the 2 guys. And Rodgers had a clean pocket for a long time. It ended up being a 20-some yard pass for a first down to Lazard. And all targets to Lazard, 3 targets, 3 catches, 100-some yards, and a touchdown. Every one of those plays, play action or max protection, which is what we talked about last week, to give Rodgers more time. And I'm not saying you can do a play action or max protection every single play. That's just dumb. You can't do that. But the consistency to keep running the ball, it set up plays in the passing game that were big plays. There's another play, too. A big pass to Devontae Adams. It's the one where he caught it, and then he kind of got hit, and then he fumbled out of bounds. On that play, Mercedes Lewis was lined up at tight end next to Bulaga, and Tanyan came in motion from the other side, and both of those guys stayed in the block. So you're talking you had the 5 offensive linemen plus 2 tight ends max protecting on that particular play to give Devontae enough time to get downfield, Rodgers enough time in the pocket for that big 20-some yard pass to extend the drive. And those are all things that are schemed up by the coaches, which gets me very excited. Like they're doing things now that we've been talking about for, since the San Diego game. God dang it, San Diego.
You did it again. You did it again.
I can't stop myself.
They got
but
you.
Since the Chargers game, right? Where it's really exciting now. Can they keep doing this? And I know it's the Giants. I get it. And I know it's bad weather. I get it.
Yeah.
But it's still like the scheme was solid. And each one of those plays was a big-time play. And it was because they were giving Rodgers time, which gives the receivers time downfield to get open. Those are things you can't, it just doesn't just happen. You got to scheme it. And that's what they did for this week. And it was very exciting. What do you think about that?
Last week, we put it on the coaches. We said, right? I mean, we went through all the things, and then we talked about how, yes, there are some issues with some of the players, but it's really up to the coaches. Whether this team is going to end up being really successful or not in the playoffs and how they're going to finish the season is up to the coaches. Mike Pettin with his defense and defensive strategy, and then also Matt LaFleur in the offense. They have to put their players in good positions. They have to utilize them the best way. And so we're going to have to give some credit to the coaches there because those were coach adjustments. That was coaching that made those plays possible. Yes, the players executed, but the coaches had a big part to do with that. As long as the quarterback has time to work and as long as that receiver has time to work. And those plays work beautifully because it was exactly that. We don't need to have so many receivers out. We need to give our quarterback time. They did it. It looked awesome. So I agree with you 100% there. Now, Nick said we agree too much. I'm trying not to agree with you on everything, but you're right there, and we were right. And whoever in the Packers listens to us and came back to the coaching staff and said, do this stuff because Hafeman Brothers said to do it, they did it. They're right now, too, because they listened to us. So everybody's right in this case. We love it. I will also say...
I like it.
I will also say there were a couple other things that really stood out to me. So I hammered on Billy Turner last week, and he deserved it. He's been terrible. In this was by far his best game as a Packer. But do you know who struggled in this game on the offensive line? Elton Jenkins. Elton Jenkins
he looked a little rough.
He got chewed up. And here was the difference. This is I sent you a note. It said right guard opposite left guard. And what I mean by that, of course, they're opposite because right guard is right guard and left guard is left guard, but they are exactly the opposite players. Because the other weeks they went against faster guys and more accomplished pass rushers. This week they went against bigger, more powerful guys that aren't going to try to beat you with speed and as many pass rush moves that are going to bull rush you and that sort of thing. And Billy Turner did well against that, and Elton Jenkins struggled against that. Whereas Jenkins against the faster guys did well, and Turner struggled. So they are the exact, not only do they play opposite sides of the line, they are the exact opposite players. And this game pointed that out perfectly. If you go back and even watch the highlights, you can see. Watch how many times Elton Jenkins is just getting mauled and beat because he can't hold up against the guys. And Billy Turner is doing a really good job if he doesn't have a guy that's too fast to deal with. So hopefully the Packers see that as well, and they can make adjustments for those players to make them in as good a position as possible, because that is what they are, and they are exact opposites. And so it's amazing. I've never seen anything like it, but that's what it is.
Well, that's good to know. I mean, like, those are things where when they're going up against the next team and the next team and the next team, if you got a guy who's a bigger guy lined up on Jenkins, Lindsey can help him. And the opposite for Billy Turner. Billy Turner's got a quick guy. Have Lindsey chip, give him a hand, or have Vitale or the back help chip on that fast guy. Those are things that, at least on passing plays, that they can figure out. Now, if they go up against a team that has to have a really big, tough defensive tackle and a really fast defensive tackle, and they line them up in front of those two guys, well, then we're in trouble. But there's ways you can work around things, and they did a good job of that this week, I'd say. There's another play I want to talk about that has nothing to do with the offensive line, but it's a really cool play design.
Go ahead.
So I don't know if you want to go to that since we're talking offense here.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can remember watching the play, and I was like, wow, what the heck are the Giants doing there? And then I went back and I slowed it down a little bit and watched it, and you can see what happens. It's actually a really awesome play design. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because we've been begging for the Packers to run some shallow crosses, right?
Yes.
On that particular play, they ran 2 shallow crosses.
Woo!
2. From opposite sides of the field. This is how genius this play is. You got Mercedes Lewis, who's lined up on the right side, and then on the left side, you've got Lazard, who's in like the tight slot. You got Devontae, who's on a wide receiver in the middle, and then another receiver on the outside. Mercedes does a shallow cross from the right side of the formation over to the left. Lazard does a shallow cross from the left side of the formation to the right, and he goes just a little bit deeper than what Mercedes does. And then Devontae follows Lazard right behind him. And instead of following all the way through, Devontae just sits in the middle of the field in his zone. And number 47, who I don't know if that's the middle linebacker for the Giants or whatever, but he's the guy who's standing in the middle of the field, like he's supposed to take that zone. He bites on Mercedes Lewis and follows him, which leaves Devontae just wide open. And it's all play design.
Well, we said they had to do it, and Matt LaFleur even said it. Yeah, we're gonna have to scheme guys open. Well, I think that's what you should always do, pretty much, right? Like, why would you ever not do that when you have the ability to? And obviously, it paid off. I mean, there was a lot of good results from this game and efficiency. They didn't have the ball a ton. The Giants had some longer drives again. some really time-consuming clock drives as well, which limited the Packers' opportunities at times. And that was also one of the reasons the game was still so tight. But they did.
And the Giants went for it on fourth down four times, and they were 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
Well, which means they weren't scared of the Packers' defense stopping them at all.
Well, that and they have 2 wins, and the weather, I think contributed to those decisions for sure. But at the same time, yeah, it was a little disappointing to see some of those things where the Packers were playing tough, and then all of a sudden on 4th and 5, they play a soft zone where they're not covering anybody in the first 5, 6, 7 yards again. Like, why?
That 4th and 5, dude. I know what you're talking about. I don't know if you want to go there, but that 4th and 5 play. Here's 2 things that happen on that play that drive me nuts. I wrote it down because I have a few notes on plays, and this is one of them.
Go ahead.
There's 5 Packer defenders that all are playing a 7 to 8 yards downfield in the zone. Okay, like they're just lined up, 5 guys all across the field. It's 4th and 5. If you're backing up to 7, 8 yards, you need, first of all, if you do that, you need to attack. You need to be looking at the quarterback, and as soon as the ball leaves his hand, you attack where the ball is thrown to. That's what you need to do. If you're going to play that zone 7, 8 yards back, eyes are on the quarterback. When the ball gets thrown, you move to where the ball goes. And that's fine if you're going to do it. But this is what happened on the play.
No, it's not fine. It's not. Because
these
guys don't know how to do it.
There's ways.
I know.
And the problem is, and I hate to bring this up because he's one of my favorite players. He's a nice guy. He's going to be a free agent after this year, and he's probably not going to be back with the team.
No.
Blake Martinez on this play on 4th and 5, when you watch the replay, I think it was like the first quarter. I don't know when it was. It was early on in the game. It's 4th and 5. He's the guy in the middle on the 5 guys doing this stupid 7-8 soft zone downfield. The ball gets thrown to Slayton, right, the receiver. Blake initially runs towards Slayton. Okay, he runs about 2 yards. Then he stops, and as Slayton catches the ball, and waits for Slayton to make a move before he attacks and tackles him. Why? You're a middle frickin' linebacker. Did Ray Nitschke stop and wait for a guy to make a move and then tackle him? No. Did Dick Butkus stop, wait for a guy to make a move and then tackle him? No. Did Mike Singletary stop, wait for a guy to make a move and then tackle him? No. Ray Lewis? No. Did any middle linebacker in the history of all time? No. Why did he stop? Slayton still had to catch it and then make a move to get the first down. And if Blake would have just run right through him and specked him, he would have never got the first down on that 4th and 5.
I mean, maybe conditions, but at the same time, like, what do you want to stop him from getting the first down and get the ball, or do you want to just?
Right.
That's why the defensive call doesn't make sense. Do you want to stop him from getting a touchdown in this play, or do you want to stop him from getting the first down and continuing the drive and get the ball back? Like that's a decision you have to make, and the call's dumb. And then his reaction was bad. Now, what you did, Ben, you just got us a thumbs down from Jason Eckes because he just professed his love for Blake Martinez a couple of weeks ago to us. He's got a man crush on him, and he thinks Blake Martinez is the best thing ever, and he's underrated, and that the Packers D-line doesn't help him out enough. Now, Blake Martinez was on an episode of the Packers show they do. I can't remember the title of it, but the one that Larry McCarron does, and they have a feature a player with Matt LaFleur. And he was talking
Total Packers or something.
Right, Total Packers. That was already taken. That's why we couldn't call our show that. Anyway, the point was he said on a bunch of plays he does not have a gap assignment. Not on that particular play, but on a lot of plays he does not have a run gap assignment because the defensive linemen have in a lot of cases 1.5 gaps they're covering or something like that. And so Martinez is normally a roamer to flow to the ball. He even said that on that show. If that's the case, he should be making all these tackles that he makes, and maybe he should be making even more, or maybe he should be a little bit more decisive and quicker to the ball in some cases. Now, I like him for a lot of reasons too, but darn it, he's not as dynamic as a lot of these middle linebackers that play 3 downs for a lot of teams that can also cover guys. He definitely is not that good at coverage. And he's just a half a step slower getting to the ball carrier sometimes, which gives up some first downs and short yardage. So those are definite things that lack in his game, and that's why I fear you may be right. Even though he's a really solid player, he might not be back.
Well, the thing that I noticed is he's too reactive all the time. On run plays, when he's looking at the running back, there's a bunch of plays we watch him. Like when you see these big runs by the running backs, he's waiting. He stays right in line with the running back, and it's probably because he doesn't have a gap responsibility. So his responsibility is stick with the running back, right?
Mm-hmm.
The problem is if the guys in front of him are not taking care of their gaps, he's got to try to weave through the traffic to get to that same hole that the running back's going to. But he's reacting after the running back is moving. So if the running back is faster than him, and the running back's 5 yards down, behind the line of scrimmage, and he gets the ball and starts moving in one way, well, Blake is 5 yards back, and he's reacting. He's moving after, a split second after the running back's moving, to that same exact hole. And not only that, the running back's got a clear shot at it most of the time, because the Packers are not getting any type of run gap pressure. If that's what they're doing, where they're making the defensive linemen have to contain block schemes and contain the holes and get in the hole, and they're not getting there, and Blake's got to try to get around those dudes and get to the spot, he needs to anticipate more or move faster. And part of it is I think he's afraid that he could read it wrong, and if he reads it wrong, then it could be even a bigger play because he's taking himself right out of the play, or the guy could cut back and go to the hole that he just created because he moved. Because he didn't stay in line with the running back. So this could be a defensive scheme issue. That's not even Blake's fault.
Sure. That's fair.
But still, I wish to God he would just attack more, just be more decisive and go for it. Remember when they moved Clay to middle linebacker for like half the season there for a while?
Yeah.
And how different that was, and how he would just busted plays up all over the place. Remember, it was crazy.
That's what he was great at.
I can remember thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember thinking, I was like, why are they not playing him middle linebacker forever?
Because he wanted the sacks. He wanted the glory of the outside line, the sacks and stuff. And
I know, but he was destroying plays because he was reading them and attacking, and he was fast and he was quick and he could, avoid the blocks. And
agreed.
Because he was used to doing that on the outside. And that's one of those things where I never understood why they didn't just talk him into staying there and be like, dude, you're going to be like a team wrecker. You're going to destroy offenses by being here. And that's the kind of stuff that and I don't know. And Blake's a super smart guy. And I still think he's smart enough to read that stuff. And I don't know if it's just he's so ingrained in the system. He's like, okay, this is my assignment. This is what I'm going to do. And he's very cerebral and all this kind of stuff. He's not the last line of defense. I'd rather have him go in there, attack, bust the play up for a 2-yard loss. And if he's wrong, maybe it goes for 12 yards. But who cares? Just make a play.
Right. He's not. You're right.
At middle linebacker, you have the option, you have the ability and the time. You're not the last line of defense. You can take some more chances. And I know he's smart enough to read things. He's just not doing it. He's just not attacking. And that's all I want to see more from Blake to do. And
he's a very good player. And at times he was. In the last couple of years, at times he was the only guy that could tackle anybody. I swear to God. That's. Right. I mean, there were so many guys that missed tackles that couldn't tackle at all, and he was the only guy. And that's probably what he felt like. He's probably like, God, I have to tackle everybody because nobody else makes tackles on this team. But this year, I think the tackling's been better, and I think there are other guys that can do it. And so I think he should be doing that more. Now, I got to transition because we're still on D, but I got to talk about the monster, the Za'Darius monster, Ben. He has been awesome. The last couple of games, for sure. I mean, most of the year he's been good. But the last few games, he has been just destroying people. I mean, his pass rush, his run defense, his read off of, he tracked down a couple of screen passes. Like, he has been all over the place. I think this last game he was credited for 10 pressures. And he obviously got a couple sacks and all that. Beat Kenny Clark to another sack. Again, like you had pointed out, Kenny Clark's numbers down. But again, part of that is because guys like Za'Darius are getting there just a half second before him. He has been such a factor. And and it's not even like he's going against one guy. There was one play, he had like 3 guys try to block him. And he just got past all of them. He's been amazing. He's been awesome. And now he's officially taken over the team lead for me and most valuable defensive player from Preston Smith. Sorry, Preston, but Za'Darius has been showing you up the last couple of weeks.
Za'Darius has been one-man wrecking crew And the thing that happened in this game, I told you last week, Daniel Jones, like, I don't know how many plays where it seemed like he should have gotten sacked, whereas Darius was getting there, or Fackrell was getting there, or whoever was getting there, and he'd get out of it and make a good throw or whatever it was. And I know he threw 3 picks.
You bring up those picks. A couple of them are bad, but that one by Tremont was a thing of beauty, man.
Dude, it was
Tremont,
awesome.
that was like my favorite play of the game, I think. That was amazing.
It was one of my favorites, too. Because
and we said it, Tremont, he can still do it. I mean, he is smart, and in that play, he knew what the route was going to be, so he cut off the receiver, and he just ran the route for him. It was like, I'm going to catch this ball because he's throwing it right here, and I'm just going to go up and hands catch it, not going to drop it. And, I mean, man, Tremont still has a place, even at his age, and even though some things he's not that good at, he still has a place on this team, and he can still be really valuable.
I agree. You know, we shouldn't agree all the time, but
sorry, Nick. Dang.
Tremont is one of those guys. Even when he was a young player, he studies hard. He studies tendencies. He knows things. You know, he can read routes on times. The only thing I would say that I noticed in this game a couple times, he got beat to the inside consistently. Tremont's got some good. He's got some bad. You know, I mean, I think he does. He's a solid guy. He's smart. He's got great hands. We all know that.
He catch the picks, man. The other guys keep dropping picks, so he'll catch them.
Right. He's got really good instincts. Those are all things that help this team. And, you know, I was thinking about something, too, with him. This is the first time Tremont's been on a winning team since he gave up that touchdown pass in overtime to the Seahawks in the NFC Championship game. Because he was with the Browns for a couple of years. He was with the Cardinals, right? And then he was with the Packers last year, and none of those teams were winning. Mm-hmm. None of those teams were good. And he's 36 years old, and he's been playing for all these years. Tremont's leadership on defense is very important. And I think he's one of those guys who's not going to let them kind of get complacent or get, like, too high on themselves. I can remember thinking to myself, like, you know, would it be better to see Tony Brown playing or Josh Jackson instead of Tremont as the nickel? But he's just such a great veteran and a great guy that I'm really glad he's on the team. I'm really glad he's got an important role, and it's great to see him make a huge play like that when really, to be honest, the Packers needed that. They needed those 3 turnovers.
A couple of key things I want to get to as well, all right? Because I didn't even realize. I mean, I was watching the game, and I was paying attention, yes, but there were a couple things. I wasn't always on top of everything. I did have a couple extra triple novas this week as I was watching the game, so that hindered my senses a little bit as to being aware of everything. But I did not realize that it was 17-13 in the fourth quarter when Matt LaFleur decided to go for it on 4th and 10. And Aaron Rodgers pulls out an amazing play and a heck of a throw. And we got to give a little love to Geronimo as hard as we've been on him. They used him in the right way this week. They used him on routes that make sense for him. You know, an interior play, and he cuts in, and he got open, and he made some great catches this week. They still ran one out route that I didn't agree with because he barely beat the guy, and it took a perfect pass from Rodgers to get a 3rd down conversion, and he barely got it earlier in the game. But that 4th down play was a great play by him and an incredible throw by Rodgers, but the guts to go for it there. At that point in the game, it's still a really tight game, and that was a pivotal, huge play. And I didn't even fully appreciate that at the time, that it was 4th and 10, they go for it and come up with it. So a little love to Geronimo, a little love to LaFleur for the guts to do, and I get the conditions played into that a little bit, but and then a lot of love to the line for giving Rodgers a little extra time and him for making a throw when guys coming in on him low, and he still got enough on it to get it there. That was pretty impressive.
All right, now we're going to disagree on that play.
Oh, okay.
I'm not upset with going for it on 4th and 10. I'm good with that. I'm upset with the play call because when you watch that play back, Devontae streaks down. He just runs this freaking go route for some unknown reason on 4th and 10. The receiver on the right side, on the outside, I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was Lazard or I don't remember who exactly it was. He just ran a go route. So these guys on 4th and 10 are running 20-some yard routes.
All right, that's dumb, but okay.
It's dumb. So the only option Rodgers has on this play is Jimmy Graham, I think, who was a tight end at the time, or maybe it was Mercedes, I don't know, who ran like a 6-yard route, and then Geronimo, who actually ran a 10-yard route. So Rodgers just sat there and had to wait and wait and wait for him to get open. And then the guy's in his face, the guy's on grabbing his leg, and he just drills it to Geronimo. Geronimo makes the catch. But it wasn't a great call. I mean, it wasn't a great scheme call anyways. It was lucky. It was Rodgers making an awesome play, Geronimo catching the ball and running at least 10 yards downfield, or else it would have never happened. I'm fine with going for it. Just the play call was dumb. It took an amazing play by Rodgers to make it work.
Okay, well,
a good catch by Geronimo. So, yeah, it's good, but it's like whatever. I don't know. I'm hit or miss on that whole play.
Okay, well, I wasn't saying the play was great. I mean, the design was great, but I think the players made a great play on that one, and at least it was an inside cut route for him, which is a much better play than the quick screen to him or something like that. It was all I was trying to.
Right, I agree with that. Yes.
So we technically are not disagreeing, but I probably should have been more clear apparently about what I was plotting.
No, I guess I'm not really disagreeing with you either.
I was applauding the going for it on
it.
fourth down at that time. You got one team who's got a lot to play for and one team who doesn't, and you're taking a risk there. You still have a 4-point lead, but you're taking a risk, and I get the conditions and everything else. So anyway, I like that part about it. Okay, I also wanted to say this.
I was just trying to to say something because Nick said that we had too much.
Contrary. All right, let's see if we disagree about this, and then we're gonna. No, we got to get into this after. I got to check on this first. The one thing I will also say about this Packers game was there's proof that a bunch of players do not listen to anything that goes out in the media. Why do you think I say that?
I have no idea.
I will tell you why. Because Aaron Rodgers, audible to his touchdown pass to Mercedes Lewis, his audible was big dog, big dog, big dog. And then they run a pass play to Mercedes Lewis.
Yeah, I know.
So how many times in any of his locker room interviews, any of this sort of stuff, has he called Mercedes Lewis big dog? Many, many times.
Every time.
Many times. It's been said publicly many, many times. Yet nobody on the Giants picked up on it, which is...
Oh, I beg to differ.
Why do you beg to differ? What are you talking about?
Because I actually took a note on that play, and here's my notes on that play.
Because you knew it was coming?
Well, yeah, because he said big dog, big dog, big dog. But he said kill, kill. Then he said big dog, big dog, big dog. But what happens on the play is number 59 for the Giants is lined up over the top of big dog, Mercedes Lewis. Mercedes doesn't even attempt to block him. He just lets him go. And there is a play action fake to Aaron Jones for a running play. 59 does not bite. He goes directly to Rodgers. And Rodgers is, carrying out his play action fake. Luckily, he turns around and he sees out of the corner of his eye that 59 is beating down on him. And this is where I will say awesome play by Rodgers is Rodgers does a great job. He turns his shoulders to save the ball away from 59. So 59 can't go for the ball, like for a strip. And 59 tries to grab him on the top, like he grabs his shoulder and then his waist. And Rodgers just kind of flips his shoulder and moves a little bit to make this, get out of the tackle. And then makes a killer throw as he's jumping in the air.
Yeah, with no
Mercedes, he throws the ball high, and then Mercedes.
No feet on the ground. No feet on the ground,
So it seemed. I mean, and it was like Rodgers is like, oh, I'm just going to throw this. I'm throwing this to Mercedes. I don't care what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a guy in my face, a guy hanging off me. I don't care. I'm going to him.
He doesn't have a touchdown yet as a Packer. We're giving him one right here. Dang it.
Right, and that's what he did. But 59, 59 might have known what big dog meant because Mercedes didn't block him. He ran right through, didn't even look at Aaron Jones, looked straight for Rodgers. He knew it was going to be a play action pass. And luckily, Rodgers was athletic enough and smart enough, like I said, when you watch the play, it's really cool. He actually, he holds the ball way, way far away from him. He shields it away from the defender. The defender grabs him. He shrugs him off, jumps in the air, does a high in the air bullet pass to Mercedes. Mercedes has to, it's a high pass, and luckily he's got a corner covering him. And makes a catch, and boom, it was a great play. But it was funny as it was going on because I'm watching the game, and I'm like, oh my god, that's your audible. Everybody knows where this is going if you watch any kind of thing. And then they asked LaFleur after the next game or during his press conference about that. He's like, yeah, we're gonna have to come up with a new name for that audible. Rodgers has the ability to process information so fast and understand like the physics of things and why the guy's going this way or the guy's going that way or whatever it is, and just kind of like get out of the way and make plays a lot of the times, which usually is great, but sometimes also gets him in trouble, because he'll get out of one sack, which leads to him getting smacked by somebody else later on. You know what I mean? If somebody can't, if the offensive line doesn't keep their box the whole time. But that was just a great play, and I agree it was awesome. We got to stop agreeing so much, I guess, but whatever.
I'm going to give our agreeing all the time gets this. Damn it. Too much.
I don't know if I can condone this any longer. Hey, since we're talking about Rodgers, I got some cool Rodgers Nito stats.
All right, what do you got?
This is the new segment called Nito Stats of the Week.
Nito Stats of the. All right, go for it.
All right, number one Nito stat. This is interesting to me, anyways. Maybe other people probably don't care, but I thought it was interesting. In all the years Rodgers has been playing, there's only been 7 games in his career that he lost by 20 or more points. Not only that, after those 7 games, he's 4-3, which means he was probably on crappy teams. Okay.
Yeah.
So he won the majority of those games after that 20-plus point loss, and he's got 21 touchdowns in those 7 games after the losses, and only 3 interceptions. So those 3 losses were more than likely not his fault. There's some teams in the NFL this year where they've lost 3 or 4 games by 20-plus points.
Right.
Heck, the Packers have done it twice this year already.
Right.
So think about that. I thought that was an interesting stat where, hey, I've been playing a long time, and he usually puts up points. Okay, Nito stat number 2. Here's the other one. This one's really interesting and kind of cool. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Aaron Rodgers on Sunday against the Giants. It was his 23rd game with at least 4 passing touchdowns in his career. That put him tied for 4th all time with one other player. Can you guess who that other player is?
Brett Favre.
Yes.
Yes. Favre,
Isn't that
actually.
weird?
That is weird.
His 23rd game with at least 4 passing touchdowns is tied now 4th of all time. So there's 3 guys who have more than 23 games with 4 passing touchdowns or more, and it's probably Drew Brees is one of them,
right.
And probably Peyton Manning, and probably Tom Brady. Those are probably the 3 who got more. But Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers now are tied for 4th place with 23 games of at least 4 or more passing touchdowns in their careers. So those are my 2 Nito stats of the week.
All right. Here's the great debate. The great debate question. This last game I watched with Nick, and we talked about it because, the Giants, yeah, they suck a lot of years, but 2 years, they won the Super Bowl, right? In 2007 and 2011, and they ruined the Packers seasons both those years. They went through the Packers to get there. So you always remember that as a Packers fan, right? And it burns you a little bit.
Well, especially 2011, because that was a 15-1 season.
I know. Dang it. It's Giants. Anyway, but you look at the Giants during this time of extreme sustained success for the Packers, and you look at the Giants' record during that time and how many coaches they've been through and all this sort of stuff. And this is where we need you, the Hafeman Brothers Packers listeners, to tell us, what would you rather have? And Ben and I can answer too. Ben, you answer. What would you rather have? Would you rather have a team that won 2 Super Bowls during that time and had a bunch of stinky years? Or would you rather have what the Packers had, which is a lot of success and opportunities and in the mix, but only won 1 Super Bowl during that time?
Well, I don't really know.
For me, the experience and the ride, all of that is better, and I'd rather take that than these years. I mean, just going through the last 2 years, it was rough as a Packers fan when we've had so much success and been used to that. Think about over 12 years, 8 of those years, you're really bad. Like the team's just not even in contention. You don't make the playoffs. You just stink. It's lousy to watch them. It's no fun. What I get the championships thing, but what's more important to you as a fan? For me, I want to be able to enjoy the seasons better. I want to be able to feel that excitement and hope for the team. And maybe, yes, I get crushed in the end, but the ride and the journey was all a lot more fun than, man, these guys suck and yuck, this is no fun to watch. That's where I'm at. So I love Super Bowls, and I want the Packers to get back to one, but I would take what the Packers have had rather than the Giants over the last, since 2007.
I don't know, man. I think I'm going to disagree.
Do it. Nick wants you to do it. So give me
Which sounds crazy.
Give me your disagreeing viewpoint.
Well, here's the thing. As a fan, like I was just thinking about this because I think what brought this on was you said something about like is Eli Manning a Hall of Famer when he's got 2 Super Bowl MVPs and 2 Super Bowls, but a lot of the other years he's kind of like just average and not so great. Or would you rather have Aaron Rodgers, who's like the awesomest passer of all time, but he's got 1 Super Bowl, and his playoff record is actually kind of 50-50, right? Or 50% kind of wins losses kind of thing.
I'll even give me somebody else. Would you rather have Eli Manning's career or Brett Favre's career? Because Brett Favre has no Super Bowl MVPs. He won a Super Bowl, yes. He lost a Super Bowl. He had a lot of successful years, winning records, did all this stuff. Eli Manning is the Super Bowl 2-time Super Bowl MVP. Which career would you rather have?
Well, career is different. As a player, if I was a player, I'd rather have Brett Favre's career or Aaron Rodgers' career over Eli Manning's career. But as a Giants fan or a Packers fan, I would rather have gotten 2 Super Bowl wins in that 5-year period, or in a 10-year period for that matter, than have 1 Super Bowl win and then watch my team dominate the regular season and then get knocked out in the first round of playoffs when they're 15-1, knocked out by Kaepernick, knocked out by Kaepernick again, go all the way to the NFC Championship game, get knocked out by 8,000 things that go wrong.
Ugh, worst game ever. Worst game ever.
Get handed a victory by the refs when Des Bryant caught the ball, but he didn't. Oops, sorry, I didn't say that. I'm a Packer fan.
The game wasn't over at that
point.
Come on, man. The Cowboys
Right?
would have still found a way to lose.
I know that was the year that they went to the NFC Championship game. And then the year when I don't know what year that was. Maybe that was the year where they had the Arizona game where they had 2 Hail Marys in a row.
That was crazy.
I don't know. 2 Hail Marys in a row were awesome. Don't get me wrong.
All those, you wouldn't have any of those. Okay, so I understand there were those disappointing memories, but you wouldn't have any of those great memories, dude. Because your
they
team
didn't win the game with the 2 Hail Marys in a row.
Because your team would have sucked. Your team would have been horrible. Like, really?
After Jared Cook caught that pass in Dallas,
I thought
they went to Atlanta and got their butts kicked.
I know. It was hard. It was awful.
So I would rather see my team win the game, and then you win the final game, and you're like, wow.
And that's going to sustain you.
That's epic.
That's going to sustain you through all those horrible seasons. Like think about that every week, 16 weeks. You're going to watch this crap team. Really? You would take that over it? Oh man. All right. What do you say, listeners?
I'm just telling you, as a fan, because you can reminisce about the awesomeness of certain plays, but when you go back and look at it, you're like, hey, we were the champs. We were the best. Nobody beat us that year. No, everybody else lost the last game in the playoffs. We did not. And that happened twice in an 8-year period, 10 years period, whatever. I'll take that because being at the top of the mountain twice feels way better than almost getting there 6 times.
All right.
And then none of that, but you just got destroyed. Like your heart got ripped out of your, either a blowout or a last second touchdown pass in overtime over Tremont, which Tremont had great coverage in that play.
Stop.
But he had no help,
I don't want to relive it. I don't want to relive it all because I'm telling you, all that pain led to nothing. It just led to nothing. Well, that Seahawks loss, again, the biggest play that gets forgotten is this 2-point conversion that made it possible where Russell Wilson ran back like 20 yards and threw up a freaking lob duck that was in the air forever, and HaHa was standing like 4 yards away from the guy and didn't close on him and break up the pass play. And if that 2-point conversion is incomplete like it should have been, the Seahawks cannot win the game. And the Packers would have been in the Super Bowl in 14. So I don't care about all those other crazy plays, and everybody's on Bostic, and everybody's on this and that. No. Yes, they're all horrible, but HaHa's was the worst, the most egregious offense. And that stupid 2-point conversion is the worst play in Packers history. Packers history, I'm telling you right now. You gotta bring up these crappy memories, Ben. You suck. These crappy memories. I disagree.
That's what I'm saying. You're just proving my point.
No.
That I'd rather have 2 Super Bowl victories
Stop
than
it.
have all that pain.
I'm not proving your point. I'm telling you, I could not suffer
I
through
win.
16 great games of horrible, crappy, terrible team play. I couldn't do it for one more Super Bowl. I couldn't do it. Anyway, what do you think? We haven't gotten many comments. We haven't gotten any comments except for from Jason Eckes for the most part. So what do you think? What would you rather have? This is your opportunity to step up and participate in this program. Is Ben right or am I right? Or are you, I'm sorry, not which one's right. Would you go with Ben or would you agree with me in this case? That's what I want to know. I thought long and hard on that one, and I'll stick with my stance, but I understand that I would rather have all of Eli Manning's money for not being very good most of his career. I would take that.
You just said you thought long and hard about it. I thought about 2 seconds on it just now, and that's what I thought. And 2 seconds.
All right. You know what that gets? Oh, no, it's out. I'm out of ammo. There we go. I had to make,
oh, my God.
I had to make my own ammo. Sorry. We had to get to the great debate. That was exciting. We finally disagreed. It took over an hour, Nick, but we finally disagreed. Superfan Nick McFarlane, Nico, huge Bucks fan. We're excited about how the Bucks are tearing it up right now. They're dominating. That's awesome.
Yeah, they only got 3 losses, apparently.
12-game winning streak. 12-game winning streak, and they're lighting them up. It's pretty good stuff. Your man DJ
I'm not a fan anymore, though. Not a fan anymore.
Hey, your man DJ Wilson got some good playing time against the Knicks.
Okay, I do like DJ Wilson.
He did well.
Him.
I like DiVincenzo. I want him to play more. He's really good.
Yeah. But my favorite Buck is not a Buck anymore, so I don't care. he's not.
What do you mean they signed? Oh yeah, Malcolm. Yeah, he's awesome. But
yep.
What do you do, man?
He's the Micah Hyde of the Bucks.
Yeah, that's true. There's our Micah Hyde mention. We got to get it out there. There you go, Sarah. If you listen to this one, we got Micah Hyde in one more time.
You know what's really weird?
We can dream.
And I know I live in Minnesota now, but part of me, I hate to say this because it's really weird to say this, but part of me kind of wants to see the Vikings get the Super Bowl and win it. Is that wrong?
Not this year. I mean, the Vikings have never won it, and they've never been there. You know, save this for when Viking Mo is on. Then we'll butter him up a little bit with stuff like that.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then when we throw the real stuff at him, we'll catch him off guard, and then he won't know what to say. So save that save that for Viking Mo. Your love for the Vikings, and that you want Kirk Cousins to be Super Bowl MVP because Mike Florio's so hard on him, and other people are so mean to him and all that sort of stuff.
I like Kirk Cousins, man.
I like Kirk Cousins too. Didn't he read like mean tweets or something recently? Or he was some crap about him. All these people talking trash, and I cut him from my fantasy team after week 2 or week 3 when he had 98 yards passing the one game, and then didn't do anything against the Packers defense. I was like, well, if you're not going to do anything against the Packers defense, I mean, this guy's going to be horrible. Forget it. So I cut him, and then after that, he threw for like 20 touchdowns or 20-some touchdowns in the last couple weeks, and whatever. Fine. I like him too.
The Packers defense was good back then.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Dang it. Kirk Cousins.
What I'm talking about. Kirk Cousins is a nice guy.
He is a good guy. But he doesn't...
He called Aaron Rodgers Gandalf.
I know. And
anybody who calls Aaron Rodgers Gandalf, I have to like him.
And he loves Aaron Rodgers, and he appreciates it. Appreciates his skill and abilities. Kirk Cousins, good guy for sure. And he got jobbed in Washington. You want him to have some success with the Vikings, but not this year. This is Packers' year. And then next year, maybe last year of his contract with the Vikings, he can win it. Then I'll be okay. But we need another Super Bowl in Green Bay.
Yeah, I think we should go on to Washington. That was a good
Washington. Kirk Cousins'
mention.
former team.
Kirk Cousins, Washington, and that's who we're playing next.
They ran all over Carolina, including Adrian Peterson at almost 100 yards, man.
He had 99 yards and a touchdown.
He's like 45 years old. He's a 45-year-old running back.
He's like 75. He had football years.
That's like the dog years thing. A running back years is different than every other player because you get hit all the time. Everybody's just think about that. Like, yeah, it's great. You want to be the running back when you're a kid, whatever. You're the one guy with the ball, and everybody on the other team wants to hit you. I mean, it sucks to be a running back. Like, it's a terrible job. It's horrible. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, it's like they ran for 250 yards or something like that.
Yeah, they had the juice going, or the guice, or whatever, however you say his last name.
Yeah, it's Geis.
Guy, okay.
I think.
I call him Juice.
But yeah, that works. He had the juice Sunday.
Yeah.
I will say this. That scares the living bejesus out of me because the Packers can't stop the run, and
that means they got to get a fast start. They got to get a fast start on them. You know?
They have to. They have to not screw around. They got to be up so they can start doing the play against the pass. Because let's face it, Haskins, he's not looking so hot as a passer, right? Even though they did win this last week, but it was mostly running game that got them the win. So if they can force him to pass the ball, we might have another Daniel Jones situation where we're getting some balls thrown our way. Maybe our guys get some more picks again, which would be awesome.
Now you want to know what's interesting. I think other years Packers teams have not been really adapted to the snow weather very well, but this Packers team is better in worse field conditions. It slows down the other team's pass rush, so their offensive line is better. It helps their cornerbacks because they're not as fast as many receivers. So this Packers team, where they've had the biggest issues, is actually better in bad weather or poor field conditions. So that could be a factor down the stretch too. Because even if they meet up against a good team or a team that's really dominant, like you see that 49ers team again, if you get some bad field conditions, and those pass rushers can't get off the ball so good, or they lose their footing, or they're whatever, that can neutralize some things and help the Packers out. I think that's true about this team.
Yeah, now that they have, their tight ends, Jimmy Graham and Mercedes Lewis, are big, tough, big guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got Lazard, Kumro, big guys. You got Williams at running back, who's really good in those type of conditions. So they have players on their team that are going to be very big in playoff games at Lambeau Field. I don't know what else to talk about on this episode. I think we've hit everything.
We talked about a lot. It's really long again. Dang it. And we agreed way too much. Sorry, Nick, Superfan. We're trying to disagree. We got to come up with something. We need more comments from our fans. And then maybe we can find some things to disagree with. At least we can disagree with you. Maybe. Maybe not. I disagree with your thumbs down last week, whoever you are. That's what I disagree with.
I actually disagree with that too. So we agree again.
All right. It's the Packers in Lambeau. We're
9-3. Woohoo.
9-3. And we got a noon game at Lambeau against the Redskins before we got 3 division games. So let's enjoy this one. Packers got to take care of business. Yes, the Redskins won. They're now 3-9. But hey, Packers are at home. They gotta come out strong, start fast, and try to take that running game out of the game for the Redskins. That's what has to happen. And coaches got to continue to scheme guys open, and Mike Pettin has to confuse the young quarterback. This week, when you want to do confusing looks for a young quarterback, would be a week to do it. Go for it.
Oh, yeah.
And then do it again following week when you play Mitch Trubisky, because or whoever, if Chase Daniel's back in, I don't know what's going on in Chicago. Poor Bears. Oh, man.
I feel sorry I can't believe I'm saying this, but I do feel sorry for Bears fans.
Yeah. Remember after last year, everybody's like, oh, the Bears, they're great. No, they're not great again.
No, they're not good. Sorry.
And then,
sorry, Bears fans.
And then for them, they moved up and got Trubisky in front of. They'll always have that. in front of
You know,
Watson
that'll be the all-time.
and Mahomes. Oh, God.
That is the all-time dumbest move of all time. I got to be honest. You remember that? When the 49ers somehow convinced the Bears to trade up one spot and then got some extra draft picks from them to move up one spot. What did they say to him to convince him to do that?
Who knows what goes on in those
Because they had
draft rooms and stuff.
They didn't want to draft Mitch Trubisky, the 49ers.
No.
So they must have told him that somebody else was trying to trade to get that spot and that they were going to go for Mr. Trubisky.
Wow.
Or something.
Man.
That was the all-time dumbest move. Move up one spot to get a guy that nobody thinks is that good, to draft him that high. And then the 49ers are laughing all the way to drafting all these different guys with all your draft picks that you gave them.
Yep.
To move up one spot. Just dumb.
And even though
dumb.
Even though the Redskins are coming up, we can still say the Bears still suck. Are you gonna sing it?
No.
Okay.
No,
We'll
not
sing.
singing it.
We'll sing it next week. I promise.
Did you hear that? I just turned into a 13-year-old boy again. I went, no.
Oh man, my son, his voice is officially lower than mine now. This is awesome. He's 12. He's
Weird.
12, and he's gone through puberty like crazy. And he grew like 5 inches in the last year. His voice dropped an octave, and now he's has a lower voice than me, which is great. It's nice.
Wow, you're a wuss too, though. That's probably
It's
why.
true. I am. And then I talk like this sometimes. You're like, what are you doing? I don't know what I'm doing. It's called deflection, people. It's just being me.
You sound like Patrick Mahomes.
He sounds like Kermit the Frog, dude. Like, I don't. Come on now. Come on.
I don't.
Is it Kermit the Frog or I can't remember. He sounds like he sounds like
a Muppet. There's no
yeah,
doubt.
he does.
Yeah.
He does. He should do a Muppet. He should totally do like a commercial with the Muppets if he hasn't already.
He sounds more like a cross between Bert and Ernie. Like when you combine them together.
Maybe a little Fozzie Bear in there.
Oh yeah, you're right, Fozzie Bear. Yeah.
Fozzie Bear. Yeah. All right. Well, that's what we
Then-
give you this.
then Throw some Gonzo in there too.
Maybe a little animal. No, probably not.
Sometimes.
He's a mixture, man, and some Miss Piggy. I'm gonna give him a little Miss Piggy in there too, just a touch.
Oh yeah, he's got a little diva in him.
All right, that's
Eddie
what
Mahomes.
you get this week. So I'm sure we'll get some more thumbs downs on this one. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
They'll probably get at least one.
All right. Packers better win. 10 wins for the Packers. There's my prediction, Jason Neckes. And my second prediction is my first prediction for a second time, which is Jay Sternberger going to get his first NFL touchdown.
Can you just stop predicting stuff? You're really bad.
I have
Bad
to.
at it.
Eckes wants all these predictions, and he's one of our biggest fans. The fans want predictions. I have to give him predictions.
I don't know.
All right. That's Hafeman Brothers.
I don't like predictions.
Ben doesn't like predictions. I don't like them either. But what the people want, the people get from Hafeman Brothers. We out.
You're still happy till I dream